Okay, so welcome to the Oregon City Arts Commission meeting on February 27th, 2025. I'll ask Anne to do a roll call vote of participants.
Terrific. I think we may need to do a quick technical. Please pause. We've got an echo here. I don't know if y'all can hear the echo that are watching in Zoom, not YouTube land, but we're going to get rid of that echo and then we'll start.
Testing.
You might have to have a little adjustment back and forth. It takes a lot more time to set up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So we can turn it up and down. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So Amanda can sign language, but she can hear you. So when she goes to speak, you'll have to
Turn her up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Did Amanda understand?
If that makes sense, Amanda, you can give a thumbs up when you want to talk. Just wave, and we'll turn up the sound so we can hear you. Thank you. All right. Well, now technical thing over. We will do the official roll. Welcome everybody to our retreat. I'm excited to have everybody here. So thank you again for taking the time to do some planning. We're going to be really busy the next 3 months. Amanda Dexter.
Oh, we're doing roll.
Okay.
Present.
Joyce Lemaster.
Here.
Daria Loy.
Here.
Emma Lugo.
Here.
Josh Planton.
Here.
And you need to use your microphone.
Oh. Miriam Ravenwise.
Here.
Choir.
Here.
Rebecca Sierra.
Here.
And Amy Wilson. Alrighty. I wanted to walk people through the agenda tonight. So, I'm okay. All right. In some ways, this is not going to be a traditional strategic planning meeting because we do have to really focus in on how we want to administer the grants and talk about our website. So I think that we're going to focus portions of our conversation tonight on those two important topics. But I did want to start us off tonight with just a little bit of a discussion so people can get to know each other a little bit better, talking about two different things before we jump into our 2025 priorities. So I wanted to ask the group, break into groups of 3. You don't necessarily have to do it at your tables, or you can stay at your tables, and I'll join these guys. I'd like to spend the first 15 minutes of our time together tonight in an ice-breaking exercise where we talk about 2 things. One is just how we all make decisions. I think, do people, if people are familiar with Myers-Briggs or other personality tests, have people taken one of those kinds of, so you have a sense of, sometimes I know when I've been part of a board or committee, it's just helpful to know how other people make decisions or feel comfortable about making decisions. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. We're not going to dive in deep. But if you see in front of you, I just printed out a kind of cheat sheet that talks about 4 different types of decision-making styles.
Amanda, you don't have one. You don't have a style.
Actually, Amanda, I will email it to you, Amanda, so you have it. And just talk for a little bit amongst your group of 3 about how you make decisions and how you feel about being in the public. Actually, just stick with how you make decisions. And then the second thing I'd like for your group of 3 to talk about, and Amanda, you're going to join Josh and Amy and myself in this discussion. Think about one big win, one big dream that you have for your time as an arts commissioner. What's one thing that you would love for the Arts Commission to achieve? We're not going to report out on the decision-making style. That's just for your own information as you're getting to know your fellow arts commissioners better. But then we will share pick one from your group, one dream from your group to share. This is something I would love for the Arts Commission to accomplish, either in 2025 or in 2028 or whatever time frame you want to do. So starting us off tonight in our discussions by sort of thinking big. Then, so we're going to spend about 20 minutes in that kind of exercise. Then the rest of the things, you can see the agenda, and we'll have an adoption of the agenda when we're finished with that. Does anybody have any questions? All right. People in YouTube land, this is a good time to make yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of cocoa. So we're going to have some small group discussions now. All right. Well, she'll be part of our group over here, and she can text me things here, and yeah. So Amanda, I'm going to send you an email.
It's funny, I was reading this. I am very difficult.
Well, I read through what she was talking, and I'm like, I am conceptual.
I think it's an optimist.
All the way. With a little bit of behavior.
I have. So it's been
Pepper.
my Myers-Briggs is the red ENTJ.
You're an EMTJ?
I'm an ENTJ.
I'm an EMTP.
I know I love priority. Oh, interesting.
Or yeah, very, very P.
It's funny.
I haven't done that in a while.
My J and P are close. It depends.
So you're maybe
interesting.
more on the
Yeah, it's, I changed. I used to be what everybody else is when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And then it started changing.
Yeah.
I can be a driving force.
Yeah.
If something needs to be accomplished, I'm like, individual, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
I can also.
I'm a little more, I'm
So
conceptual with a little bit
orders up on the analytical.
Yeah.
Although,
I do like doing
I
this. I do like, what's the universe is. First. How about you?
So actually, I did something very similar to this recently for work. So I'm really sure that my
Well, it says in
where I
the
would
conceptual,
land
they're
is
social
analytical, low
oriented
tolerance.
and take time.
For beauty.
Like I'm very type A.
yeah, when I was
OCD
growing
about
up,
it.
they used to
Just
say
want those things lined up. It's perfect.
but it wasn't
Now
that.
I do
found out
take
as I
a
got
look
older.
at it, from the broader picture and then work my way down
And I
to
wanted to weigh my
I
options.
make a decision on things. But yeah, I'm just very task
So I wasn't
oriented.
like,
Get it done.
whoa,
Move on to the next thing.
way out
Pop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Respect.
So I kind of feel like I did fall into the conceptual.
I'm working, trying to be more on the behavioral and social and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
I
Very sure
really get bogged down
analytical
with nothing is happening.
child
I hear your emotions and I really want to validate them. On the other hand,
Yeah.
I have a
we use
decision.
job to make too. Yeah.
I'm willing
I'm
to
there.
sit
So,
That's good, yeah.
So I'm on that analytical tolerance, which is
Yeah.
probably the most
like being an entrepreneur.
non-social one out there.
Just take care of
I'll back you up.
Yep.
When you have a task.
My risk, I have my risk.
In my opinion,
I have
what I,
state
I
response.
don't think there's anything wrong.
Regular job.
We have to make a decision how do we get there.
We don't have to worry about
Just it's the fluff out.
financially.
So I would not say.
Oh, okay.
Here's an address.
Oh my gosh.
No, I think that's
Yeah,
helping
that's-
people just
yeah.
like type A
no pressure.
Yeah.
people.
Guess who gets things done?
And then,
Yeah, but
everyone
at the same
feel
time
like they
too,
got to talk about
it's kind of that whole
Yeah.
the ends justify the means
Yeah.
kind of thing. I think for most
I definitely feel like
people like me,
I
it's
am
like
great at big picture thinking. I'm great
yes,
at
as long
doing
as you get the
thinking.
objective hit.
I can kind of process a lot of information.
Just
Like,
the
we
task
would be like,
and
this is
get
what needs to
the
happen.
decision made.
You probably like data.
And then I
Data.
usually don't come out of a decision
I
without
love
like
researching things
action
out and
steps.
just like,
I'm very
yeah,
action
looking for new
oriented. I'm like,
things, new
okay,
ways
let's
to
write
maybe
down
solve
doable
problems.
steps.
Like, I like being creative,
I do not
but
like
just,
to
yeah,
be like,
very
I don't like
contribute
having,
to,
I don't like ambiguity
let's
specific, be like, what are the action steps I'm taking? And I think that's like.
And low tolerance.
Like,
Yeah, and that comes
I've
from
taken with
just
them
childhood of
like, I
playing
spent
lots of sports when I was
constantly
younger and being very
fairly
competitive and
quickly
stuff, just
and,
drive it home, get it done.
but also
then-
like,
It's a personality
I
thing,
always
too.
bring everything.
Well, yeah.
I really believe that nature component, it's not just how you're raised. I think that
But I'm like that in life too, like.
That's true, I would say so, but I would say that
Any type of
it
like board or
didn't help
group activity. Like,
balance me out
if I'm
by
just
putting in
like,
that kind of when you're in a competitive situation like that once, so.
Yeah, break it down.
I totally get what you're
in order to
saying.
achieve
I also
the
feel like
long-term goal.
had
And like, I just
been,
got on.
had my parents put me in more like,
Yes, I go to the church that.
well, ballet, so I would have been
just
competitive.
teasing.
I would have been competitive there too.
Would you?
Yeah.
Scripture
I
and just like,
I would have,
taking like,
what's
the
that
church's
movie?
building. But I'm just like sitting in the meeting, like, we need to have 7-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year
The
plan.
little
The
British boy.
What needs to be
Somebody
done.
can dance.
No, no.
And they're like, awesome, yeah, they're like,
It's a great movie.
because they're just like, just
Yeah, like middle
well, what needs to be fixed, what would be fixed, and then it's just like huge daily tasks, because it's an older building, a very small population of old women. And, you know, we have like 80-year-old men up on the roof trying to catch that.
Oh, no, you're thinking of the full Monty.
You know,
I'm
so
not
it's
thinking
like,
of the full
I'm
Monty.
just like, well,
I'm thinking of,
we need to like, where's the
guy's name though,
what
right?
what's the guy's name? It's the
The other
kid's
thing
name.
too,
Yeah.
Billy-
I feel like in life,
And I thought it was Billy can dance, but
I don't know, anyways, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop some
No, no, full Monty's one that they make a show of it.
What would you like to
The
see?
TV show
What would you
of it,
like to
or,
see
serial.
during your time? What's
It was a great, yeah.
We'll think of it later.
I already answered this up. Oh, so at my core, I am a big picture thinker. And sort of high risk, there's not that, there are a lot of naysayers when you start to do something and I have never been there. So I accomplished some big things from nothing that only rewarded my thinking that way. On the other hand, I can be analytical too.
Yeah.
I appreciate analysis.
Situation,
Very much afraid of number 4.
That's something.
Well, I think we both are. We both have this plan of favorite one is the one where we aren't most comfortable in our date.
I feel like.
Oh shit, Hannah.
I'm the kind of person who's like, is everybody okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You okay? You're all right? Okay, we can do this? All right, we're all together? That's good.
But do you ever does it get done in a group of
The one and only grant cycle we did. We just
Oh, well,
like, left all kinds of properties.
Everybody's
And then,
it's different.
Okay.
Like, you know, like.
and I know that.
I mean, I'm gonna try to keep it
Also, like,
You know, got a lot of stuff. I mean,
yeah, we have a discussion of like,
Even if I know the meeting,
That's
we actually need to grant application.
again, that's on my, it's not on my time.
but I mean.
And so,
All right, Amanda Steerhart, do you get to weigh in somehow?
Oh, she's saying her, yes, she is, she just.
art projects for the community.
Yes,
See,
I told her to,
Teaching art.
Did she get to hear us?
Well, providing.
No, she's trying to
Well, she might be
Support for artists. I live here and I
so
think
sorry.
that we need to come up with what our priorities are in order. Because we don't, we have not historically, we don't right now. To give so everything,
Yeah.
just everything that's really like, there should be a priority. So I think that's what I like to sort of like really define what we're doing and why.
Yeah, I think, well, if we're talking short
You know,
term,
and it
something,
can, that can
yeah.
always evolve
I
over
think
time,
my
but like, I think
ultimate
that's
goal
the
is
best
I'd like to
use
see
of time
us
and money.
set
For
ourselves
work and-
up basically for long-term success by getting a good
Knowing which
foundation.
projects to be your
A long time ago, we talked about, and one thing I was gonna bring up tonight was,
That's not like
when
the
you talk about
easiest thing,
putting
because I'm
together
like,
a strategy,
I just think that needs to be solidified, and I don't think it's totally been solidified
be
yet.
achieved to achieve our goal. Protocols in place and secure, you know, some lasting funding outside of just city budget money. Basically establish that first foundation.
If you haven't switched to question number 2, like your Arts Commission Arts Commission goal and dreams, switch, haven't switched to that question, switch to that. Anyway.
We did it, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like if we can get that done this year, it sets us up for being successful year after year. It saves us the hassle of every time we have a meeting about grants,
Honestly,
like how are we gonna do these
you?
grants this time?
So
We haven't been doing grants, this is how it's gonna, do
What are our
it.
hands in?
Again, it's very like, get our ducks in a row and we execute, right? So,
Yeah,
Metrics.
I think like, I think with,
Sometimes metrics.
Cause I have all kinds of.
yeah,
oh yeah, I felt the same way when I like first, I was like, we can do this, this, and this, and I already know what space,
yeah.
you know,
What,
right?
how do we measure success? Like,
Yeah, but they weren't actually, they didn't say that to me.
Achieve that goal
It's
and
like, that
then
goal worked,
decide
yes,
then,
we like this,
okay, do we wanna
the way I was treated. I was like,
increase it again, do we
cool,
wanna
okay, I'll
make it
have
better,
another
or tweak it
So,
to fine tune, so.
I think,
We've been doing it, but just not at a
one thing that
steady
would help
pace
us,
or, you know,
yes,
it's been very,
is to
it's been
look
very
at,
serious, you know, since we kind of
long running
reincorporated
and
2021.
very successful.
Really, 2022 we started, and we have one meeting actually in 2021, but,
Seattle.
Were you here from the beginning?
Portland,
Oh,
that's where I-
wow.
yeah.
The city of Auburn, Auburn's
So,
like, that's a little better
it,
than Seattle, but
it,
they're really small
something that I've
and they
kind of
have a
been
wonderful arts
helpful, I think, getting
And
ourselves
they,
in that kind of
not that we should do this,
start.
they have, four ways, four ways, I think it's four
And,
four
and then we'll
ways
have,
every
you know,
year.
start the next item, so I'll 2 years, it's gonna spend the rest of the money.
Show, they have
But we
like,
have a good one.
they have art showing,
On our,
and gallery hall, diversity, they have like a storefront space, they have installations, the artists can come, they have like a sculpture art. They have one other thing I can't remember, and they also, like in the last few years, they finished
Figure out the
the
players,
and it's not a super
their personalities, this is
at all. So, I mean, they were, and I think it's,
Now I need to scroll.
I think like,
to observe,
I think if we could have like something,
what else
that's our
are
first,
possible, because
here's what we want to accomplish.
but as I said in my interview, the one thing, just having run our program,
You know, Oregon City Arts.
all artists need more than a $500 grant. It's a place to come and work,
Get funding
or if they're a dancer,
from the
a
city
place to
of
teach,
Michigan.
or just some
Like, they
community
want us
place.
to
Actually, it's extremely expensive.
Absolutely.
Big,
Yeah, in my personal opinion,
but that was
is like, I would like
something
to,
that I think kind of,
I would like
every
to
time.
yeah,
prioritize.
So I don't know if it's possible, and, you know, I'll hang on to it for a while, but
Professional artists first.
lots of people have. Yeah, I think you were saying creative,
Art education.
there was a whole group that he was with,
And then,
trying
you know, I think last would be like.
establish something, and unfortunately,
But also
think
there's other.
they ran into the issue of
People taking.
a good location,
I feel like,
and making the right partner,
I feel like.
right? So that's again, kind of what I was
I
talking
know
about.
that there's very little.
Setting the foundation, we need to start building up those partnerships
And it's
in the
really
community.
hard
How can
to
we,
choose.
how can we increase, you know, that, those relationships we have with also the people's behavior,
I
which
think
is why I
that we're
appreciate those
wanting
people
to
that have around, so they
foster
can help build those
greater
relationships
community.
much faster than I can.
The first place to start.
I feel so. No, I mean,
And then I think
yes, there's benefits like, but I think that in still like just
like
communication, talking and understanding happens more on the behavioral side.
that would
It
be
happens
fill
more
up the
versus just, I mean,
the
you can
art.
make friends by just
Yeah.
giving them, you know, stuff.
I mean, there's lots of ways to do that,
Make
but
it
not,
real
you know,
life
wasn't
there,
it
I think
just
takes a
called
little
art
bit more
education? I don't know if it's still, but at one point, they had partnered with Steve Crawford House, and they had created a gallery out of this.
well, it's interesting, so I have got that too.
Every few months, and they have artists.
I see more, because you're absolutely right, you've got to form
4
partnerships and
months, like, I still
have people trusting relationships and all
on
that.
this,
I have
I
absolutely.
can't remember which one
Part
it's
of,
but they had it like.
when you're well intentioned, you meet
I
somebody.
did it one year, just really, really cool.
I don't want
And then
to
they
close
started
these
all
areas.
the.
I couldn't have that. I don't think
There's
people off.
part
I
of
think, to be
it.
honest with you, they're a little ambiguous too.
Like
They're
that.
talking about things like whatever.
Well, yeah,
There's,
in certain
there's lots
relationships,
of
yeah, it'll take a bit different depending on the relationship and the stuff, but
Yeah,
like
I
if we're
heard
talking
something more
like
about what.
working with GoFam, right? And some of our projects
Yeah.
to build them, we're working with the partners to build that
They
relationship.
are an orchestra. I don't know if it's a symphony orchestra, I don't know, but she They came in, they're good, they, one year, they came for
work together, say things at them, so that they will come back at us kind of thing, so we share information, we share ideas. When, the parks is thinking,
amazing, and like, they just, there's a church,
especially coming to
church
this,
for,
are they doing that right
they
now?
have their
Maybe not, but that should be something we try and strive to achieve is,
Yeah.
and they think
Not
it's
one, but
okay,
like,
this would be great.
but to be able to,
You know, it would help. On the arts commission.
Yeah, exactly. So that cross kind of collaboration is something important.
Really?
Yeah, where the, I remember where the was pioneer in.
yeah.
Yeah, he was pioneer. I was reading about it.
Pioneer Center is the community center? Or the-
That was one of my
Okay.
ideas,
Okay.
to have
Because we're always trying to live in the village, and it's like, at certain times, yes, but most of the time.
Yeah, kinda like,
it's just going up.
the Fort number had like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farmers market, stuff like that.
Sure.
I have a friend.
I was thinking in terms of space, so I don't.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right, as far as.
And sometimes it's wine, it's hosted in
One of the things that we
Yeah.
have done the most kind of
a tasting room, or
to hopefully get more creative involved in the future is art education for adults, but really kids.
Yeah.
Arts is not as focused on
and
the
it's really
schools
cool.
anymore. Yeah, so, there's something to do to help encourage
Oh, is that like
students, art,
Yeah.
adults, and hopefully you can contribute to the members still have an appreciation for, keep it going, so.
Yeah.
What does Amanda say, or was that it? What is she, what's her?
Yeah.
Decision making.
Well, I think like maybe like taking an idea like that and maybe blending it with
Which makes sense, because she had to create something out of nothing too.
like for the first Thursday.
That would make
Hey, how
sense.
about we have
Although I get these
these
kind of
before,
fun, I almost said, pick two, draw one call for the first Thursday.
Right.
that can be really cool, or like also she's, you know, I don't even know.
You know what I found out? That
They just started it.
there
Our last
had
Thursday,
been room, it's not just a.
it was the second.
but also
Sorry,
like a big,
it's only the
it's
second.
now just
Yeah.
torn apart apparently.
Yeah.
Storage.
Last Thursday,
It's one big, there's Carnegie Park.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
they,
happening tonight.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, what's her name? The lady who did the audit.
Well, I think it was Rose that wanted to get my
Oh my gosh, why am I blanking?
Yeah.
Oh, I read that too.
Six, that's such a, see, that's like a different idea, but like, oh my gosh. Five.
That's where I finally found a list of art.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to Ray on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I will. I also like the idea of like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think she found a lot of art
Where would
there,
you do that
it's
here?
like, that isn't on display, just in
I was
a
thinking
room.
Storage.
And that might be.
Yeah. Also, it might be too small, but that's a little bit area.
Yeah, he was talking about this.
Yeah,
What, room space, art? But he just kept
but I
going.
like the library.
It's terrible, they do all the, it's ugly.
From Captain Winter and Shakespeare in the Bell.
And I will say, having tried to talk people out of some of their storage in the past,
But I have a lot of.
it's like telling them not to eat
Yeah.
food. I mean, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they putting down with that factory was? I don't know where the factory was, but they cleared it down on 15th
But
Street,
that's
just
why
before, after you go under the
thinking of
train tracks heading towards 99. There's that building there, and it had a gas leak a few years ago,
different kinds of
and
art.
it completely demolished.
Do either of you know we have like Oregon
Yeah.
City Community Theater or anything? Or is it?
The fire.
Children's
Yeah,
theater.
That's the big,
Yeah, which I don't mind. I don't know if it's like a
navigation.
I mean, I'm just tiny, but like.
Yeah, I didn't know, like, are they that profits?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, they tore it down, things like that, so it's going.
Oh, like, the only thing that's know about
Really?
pancakes
Okay.
is it's that process.
Yeah, they have big plans. Yeah, speaking of
But
big,
they form out of the That's all I know. Yeah. That's it.
But then, yeah, part of my goal is to find out.
All right, are folks ready to come back together?
this is where it'll miss.
Know what's part of them, and also having
Not
a
having a point of time.
That's smart. I like that. I think having an.
Alrighty, let's come on back together.
You're having too much fun.
I'm not going to ask you to do report outs on decision-making style. I think it's just kind of nice to know we all make decisions and are motivated by different things. Well, I mean, we can do that. We can still do that if you like.
I think maybe doing it when we get to the priorities would work.
Well, we can if you want.
Nice.
Just do a quick around the
Shout out.
circle.
Yes.
But what I am really interested is just sort of hearing some of people's goals, aspirations, and big picture thinking for the Arts Commission. Who would like to go first?
Well, the one that I was
I
sharing,
think you need to talk into the, sorry.
the one that I was sharing that I kind of think about quite often, and I was thinking about it as I was driving here tonight. Yeah, I would love if Oregon City had a sculpture park. You know, and every time I walk on the promenade with that kind of gentle hill, with the rocks, you know, that I'm just visualize like children and families with, you know, dogs and having picnics and, you know, having sculptures that you can refuge under. They might even move with the wind or frame parts of the landscape. And, you know, you can kind of even enter inside and just like this way of for citizens to physically and viscerally enjoy art in a very everyday, simple and non-intimidating way, you know. And there are some examples around the world that are just so beautiful. And every time I walk there, and tonight when I was driving here, I just also looked at the beautiful lawn in front of the library, and I was like, oh, also there. So there are so many nice places where we could have, and then I can visualize, you know, tourists having like a map with QR codes, and they can learn about the artist, they can learn about the art, you know, they can kind of expand what that means, and they can even post images on how they use this art, and they interact with it, and you create like a community of experiences around the sculpture park.
Nice. Love it.
So is everybody going to report out, or is
Let's
it?
just do each of the, I was thinking the three groups, but we can as we have time, we can do
Okay. Are we going around or are we just popcorning?
popcorn.
Get away. I was thinking this specifically in the time I have left, which is a year here. I really would like us to nail down exactly what our priorities are as a arts commission. I think it's still pretty amorphous. Like some of us think that we should prioritize one thing or the other, but what our overall priorities are in order. Not that anything needs to be left out, but I think if we have a clear set of priorities, we could make decisions better. We can spend whatever money we have better, and we can have a more efficient way to actually raise money and get people to partner with us. So I would like to see that happen before I go.
Cool. You guys want to, Eamon, do you want to report?
Oh, sure, why not? As I said in my interview, I think an arts space of some kind. But you know, we can give artists $500 grants. We can do all the kind of little things. They make the art, then what? You know, we all need a place to exhibit. So, and it could be that, and then it could be a performance space. It could be multi-use in any kind. But that's a big project. I don't know if it's doable right now. I'm going to cheat and say that part of me is conceptual, long-range planner. Big projects still bother me. So that's probably where I'm coming from. But I'm also rational and realistic. And so if, you know, we head in small increments, that's fine with me too. And it would dovetail with what are our priorities. Does it fit with what the plan is? And I think Amanda, was it? Amanda?
And would you like, hold on, I think I'm supposed to,
Turning you up. The volume.
I will turn you up. I'm trying to find which is the volume button. Oh, it says volume, never mind. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, just to continue what Amy said, last year we spent a good deal of time talking about a community art center. I still think that that's an important thing that that we need to continue the conversation about and moving towards that in however it might look. I'm also, hopeful to find some new ways for us to support performing arts. And also something that I mentioned last year at this meeting, but we never did anything with it, or I never really pushed for it, but would like to create a pathway for neighborhoods to install intersection murals, and figuring out if that's something that we're involved in, and just sort of creating a set of steps so that neighborhoods can do intersection murals on their streets.
All right. Awesome, thanks. Keep waving at us. When you... All right. All right. I love it. So,
And is there a mute button on there?
what's that?
Is there a mute button? Because maybe you can have the volume all the way up and just hit mute so you don't have to go up and down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. As a matter of fact, there is. My kid calls me a boomer. Boomer.
I'm like, are you?
No, I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen X baby. Yep, that's right. All right.
So we're going to go to adoption of the agenda now.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So any additions, comments, changes to the agenda that anyone might propose?
I was just going to suggest that when we talk about art commission work groups, I want to fold that into this discussion about priorities. I feel like our brainstorming and thinking of ideas and goals will fold right into our 2025 priorities. And I'd like to move the work group conversation up into the priorities, because I think once we identify some of our priorities, then we can say, well, then a work group can take on some of those priorities.
I was going to make a suggestion that, given our biggest hurdle in front of us right now is spending the funds and getting a plan together for that and spending it by the end of June, prioritizing the Arts Commission grant, which I believe is covering that topic, and then moving 2025 priorities down, and like you said, connecting kind of the work groups. And then one other item I want to add is just a quick update on protocols that we'll be looking at the next, I'd like to put on the agenda for the next meeting in March. So those would be the only changes I'd like to propose. Any questions? Okay.
I don't know when would be the appropriate time to mention this, so I'll just mention it really quick since we're talking about agendas. But I noticed that it might be a good idea to create space or a specific time in the agenda when we know that the mayor is going to be present, so that we set aside a space in the agenda for the mayor to do any announcements. I thought it could be called something cute like the mayor's minute, so that there's time allotted for that. Because I've noticed in the past, in January, there was a big chunk of time the mayor wanted to update us on things, and it wasn't part of the agenda, and we had a hard time getting to the rest of our agenda items. So I thought I'd throw that out there as a point of consideration.
That makes sense. And I think when Mayor McGriff is at our meetings, maybe we can increase the communications time. So her report out can be part of the communications, because that's meant for everybody to report out during that time.
Cool.
So maybe we can call it like just increase the communications time a little bit. So that includes like the mayor's report out and communications or something. Cool.
Okay.
It's like, if I may, like, you don't know, I'm assuming that that is suggestion to provide space in the agenda, but also at the same time to bound in time, that space, so that it doesn't, overlap with other things that are already on the agenda.
Yes. That was the hope.
Makes sense. So to just summarize, you're suggesting, Josh, that we move the discussion about the grants up above 2025 priorities?
Yeah. I know that it seems weird to go to the detail first, but I feel like the 2025 priorities is going to touch 2025, but I think we're going to talk about a wider array of priorities for a longer period of time than just 2025 when we get there. So I feel like get to a little bit of the business that we have to really focus on, because spending that money is going to be tight, given that our next meeting isn't now till mid-March. So getting a plan put in place there to take action. And just a reminder, like today, as a retreat, we don't supposed to make any formal decisions. The one caveat to that is I think we will try and make a decision on the MOU today if there's consensus there. But for the most part, this meeting is to come up with the ideas and bring them back at the March meeting to then approve completely as a commission.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And then the protocols at the end of the meeting we can get to. Just take a couple minutes to introduce that topic.
All righty. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
She me first, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that suggestion, Josh. Again, I am thrilled, and I know I'm not the only person in this room who says that. I'm thrilled that we have the funding for the $32,600 restored to the Arts Commission budget. This is a big deal.
Did you want to say something? Because you did a thumbs up, or you were just agreeing? Okay. That's when you want to say something, and that's when you agree.
Oh, she put up a little sparkly heart.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, so very, very exciting. And I wanted to, so let's jump into talking about the grants and how we want to move forward with that. I was looking for the survey that the Arts Commission did. And I wondered, I know you were involved, I think, Emma, is that right? I couldn't actually find the survey results, so I don't know, I hate to put you on the spot, but are you able to, or others that remember the survey? So I think 2-3 years ago, when we were in the early
I
Arts
remember
Commission.
the top two.
Okay.
Are the top three priorities.
Yeah, so would you please
Presentation.
refresh all of our memories of some of the things that people said?
Yeah, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I remember it was music performances, gallery shows, and art education, in that order. Yeah.
How many were returned?
A lot.
Like 800.
Oh, 800. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
800?
More than, yeah,
Oh, wow, that is.
we got a lot. I think it was a mailing.
A lot of it was electronic.
How many, what's our population here?
Well, I think it went to Google Organizing addresses, right?
It went pretty far, yeah. I mean, it was over 1,000 cards. And, it was advertised widely. I mean, there was a QR code and you could just log in into it online.
I want to say we're like mid-30s, right?
Actually, we're closer to 40. We're between 38 and 39,000 people in Oregon City.
Oh, I thought we had more.
No.
Well, that's Oregon City proper, I think.
That's
If you-
Oregon City
everyone
proper.
Outside that has Oregon City addresses
Yeah.
is not included in that number.
I got it.
The number one's like,
Yeah.
Got it. Huh.
And did we collect like a demographic about the respondents or?
Probably, but I don't remember what it was.
Understand.
I don't remember. That was just my big takeaway.
Is this posted somewhere?
Somewhere.
I will keep digging for it. I spent a little bit, before I was the staff liaison.
But I can't. I'd have to
Yeah.
dig.
I was a staff person, but I wasn't the liaison to the Arts Commission at that time.
How long ago was it?
2 years.
It was the
2022,
the meeting that was
2023.
my first meeting was when they read the results.
Okay.
Oh, so
That's why-
2023.
That's why I remember. Like I was like, locking in those 3 priorities. Got it.
So it was in 2022, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to, if we're talking about enhancement grants and being able to spend the money before June, I would like to propose, and I'm the one who helps write the grant. So I'm the one who wrote the first grant. So that we table the grant and use that money to do projects that we could actually complete before June, like possibly us hosting performance, maybe doing fundraising events that we need, that would both promote us and raise funds for us. That would be discretionary, used when we need to use them. Or maybe just do a smaller grant or do something like an emergency grant for artists who need help, like with cost of living or something that could be doled out quickly. I feel like if we're a lot of the things for the last grant took time. It was a lot of events that were taking place during a certain time, murals to be completed, things, coloring book, things like that. And I'm worried that if we put all our eggs in the grant basket, the money will not be spent in a way where the projects will actually be completed, which is legally what we have to do. So that's my throwing that out there.
Can I clarify that when you say table, it means don't apply for it? Because we have a lot of money.
Don't do a round of grants with this money.
Use the money for something.
Basically, we would be managing the money in terms of putting on a project of some type or an event of some type versus giving the money to someone to do it.
Right, yeah. Or, yeah,
It
like,
just takes too long. A proper grant cycle takes too long. We don't have enough time. And as you pointed out in the last meeting, art takes a while.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't want to be pressured to try and come up with something. That doesn't feel right.
yeah. Well, and even giving support to community projects or like performances or like how we gave money to like the Juneteenth celebration or some of the cultural events, like those are all slated for a specific time, you know, so like there's a chance that lots of people see this and they're like, oh, well, that could help us, but our thing's not till August or so it doesn't, it makes sense to me. But
So I have something I'd like to propose that would take $1,000. And or maybe more if we wanted. But the idea was I was thinking about the art for every heart the slogan that we came up with. And I still really love it. What would be really kind of neat in my mind is that every biennium there's $1,000 that gets sent out to 2 groups or 2 people. And one would be that every biennium, somebody comes up with a new logo for Art for Every Heart that would be on the website for those 2 years. And then somebody else comes up with a different type of art that's not just visual. Maybe it's a song that they've made, or maybe it's a dance performance or something else. And there's a page on our site that's dedicated to that. And it talks about the artist and why they were inspired by Art for Every Heart. And, you know, what did they put into it to make this logo or to make this piece of art that's in response, you know, their artistic response to the prompt. And that way we could be just ongoing every 2 years, showcasing and awarding somebody for thinking about that. Like, what does that mean to them? And what does that mean to our community? And also it would give us a way, you know, we've talked about in the past, like, how can we showcase more artists? And granted, this would be per biennium, but it was something I thought of, like, that we could use, you know, and make it a nice enough award where it's not like they get $10, you know, and like,
Yeah.
you know, a Starbucks card.
Like, make it so that they actually, you know, like, they feel motivated and they feel like, yeah, this is something substantial.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was an idea.
So a contest where they're responding, create something that incorporates art for every heart.
Right, and one thing would be visuals, so that we could, you know, when we're going to, I think you guys did some cards in art August, right? And so for those 2 years, we would have cards printed up that would use that image or whatever, but then because it's art for every heart and it's all kinds of art, it wouldn't just be a logo, it would be, you know, it could be a sculpture, it could be a dance, it could be a song, a poem, whatever.
Yeah, and you're saying it's like a competition, so we'd get multiple submissions?
Yes.
Because that could be good for promoting our website and our social media, as like we could do like a first round of people, here's the top 20 and here's the top 10 and maybe even like when we get to like the top 5, like let people on our social media vote for their favorite and have that as a something like that would be engaging the community with the decision. And
I feel like, granted, that's only 1,000 out of 32,600, but
yeah,
I feel like that's something that we could get done
yeah,
by the end of June.
that's cool. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking, I mean, as you were talking about the prize money being a grant, potentially that would go toward their education or learning, whether it was like them being able to pursue, you know, education or a class, or put it toward their college tuition. So
it could be more substantial, is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
I mean, it could be 2 things. It could be
Yeah,
that,
different
and
things,
that. I think
Yeah.
both of them would be nice.
Could be categories.
Yeah. Well, like that would go along the lines of like a professional development grant, which RAC had a really nice one. I actually was the recipient of, and I was really
It was nice.
yeah, and it really did. It was
It made a
professional
difference.
development. It was like
So building on that, I mean, given that, you know, we would really want to promote arts from many perspectives, not just the visual arts, the performing arts, you know, and different types
Yeah.
of performing arts. Perhaps, you know, we could think about if there was a professional development grant, and, you know, I'm just throwing number for the sake of discussion. Let's say that $5,000 per person, professional development, and we had one that was for a musician, one was for a theater performer, right? One was for a visual artist, one was for a dancer, right? And so like if we had like 5 or 6 arts categories, and then we put out a call for people to apply, and there is a grant for $5,000, we create the criteria of what we're looking for, and then we award one per category.
Yeah, but do they
But
have to take
they-
the class before June 30th?
Oh.
Yeah, I think they'd have to in some way validate the funds going to them before June 30th, which if you're going through a whole grant, we're back in the grant.
No,
Well,
we're
that's-
back in the
Giving.
issue.
that, but
I don't
oh,
disagree with the idea, but I just,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
our limitation is the
Correct.
timing.
yeah, professional development doesn't necessarily mean you're taking a class.
Yeah,
like
it
that's
could
just
be a-
when.
it could-
But my idea was like actually for like like support. Like I would really like to take advantage of making this series, but I need a small piece of equipment, or like I even like emergency funds for artists, like artists who are like, I'm being kicked out of my studio because the
Right.
building got sold. But like I'm that's probably not, back to your point, I don't think that's for this round for sure. Like it's just there's too many variables and grant cycles take too long. So
What about the idea we had of looking at a piece of sculpture and then having a performance celebration?
yeah, that'd be tight. Yeah.
And, you know, get
Yeah.
that sculpture garden started.
yeah.
And then we
Yes.
can pull on some of Amanda's performers and, you know,
Yeah.
That'd be
bring
really
them in and
nice.
have a big celebration.
I think it would be really wonderful because, I mean, with 32, right, 33 or whatever is, you know, 30 plus thousands, I mean, some money would be, you know, would need to, if we were to purchase a sculpture, we would need then also to pay all the fees for the install and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
not just the actual object, but also the permits and all that kind of stuff. But I think it could be doable, you know. take on the side $1,000s or $2,000 for what you were saying, because I think it's a very low-hanging fruit that doesn't seem to be very expensive. But then all the rest, say, okay, let's find out how much it costs to buy all the pay all the fees, let's identify a location, and pay all the fees to the city, and then all the rest can be given to an artist to purchase a ready-made
Yeah.
sculpture.
How long does it take the city though to turn around and?
Like approve a site and make sure that it's all to code, and that's true, that could make it drag.
But maybe we can try to speak with the folks. I've been like in discussion, trying to see if I can do something interesting with the folks at the library, because they seem to be
Yeah,
a little bit more, snappy with things.
yeah,
And perhaps that could be interesting partner to talk with, because they've got the space there
Yeah.
to put their sculpture.
but is that surrounding park around the library city property or library?
It is,
I think
yeah.
it's city.
There's,
It is, yeah, city,
It's
that's
city,
but
but I think
Library Park, I think they call it.
Yeah, did, Amanda has her hand raised for a while.
I'm going.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's talking,
Hear
it's
me?
not working.
Oh, it's still on mute.
Yes.
No, I'm not muted.
Moment, please.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay. I wonder if someone could just, we could find out from the city how long the approval process would take. If we could get it done and buy a sculpture right away, I think it would be, I think it makes sense. I think that's one thing that really makes sense. But I did want to say that we should also consider spending some of this money to let someone professionally design our website.
I agree.
Yes, so that we do not have to be dealing with that, because it's easier that way.
Yeah.
And that'll support someone local who does that kind of work.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, we discussed it last week, I think. We were
Yeah.
talking about
You mentioned it in the last meeting.
yeah. I would also like to propose, that we spend a few $1,000s like hosting some type of fundraiser for the Arts Commission event. Even if it was like we had talked at our last session about doing like a small canvas art show, like a big 500 type thing or something like that, in the city, to raise funds for the Art Commission. And also like it gets the fact that there's an Art Commission out there, like people coming to that, they're like, oh, we're raising funds for this, and like we could use that to be like, hey, here's what the Art Commission does for you, so that is my suggestion also, that we do some type of fundraising event. 'Cause
Yeah,
we could have some
the
funds.
small piece was, I think I might have thrown out I was calling it the $20 art show. Basically, everyone's has the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah, three
That's
to
what the
three.
big 500 was.
Yeah.
It was $40, but yeah.
Yeah, I recently participated in one that was all the artworks were $100 and they were famous artists.
Yeah.
They were $100, doesn't matter who did it, and they were all postcard sized.
Yeah.
And they were all type of mediums. It was
Yeah.
really, really successful.
Yeah. And the thing about, sorry.
Mine was going to be more community based, so anyone could apply to get
Yep.
on there, and you
Yep.
could submit as many you want. Originally, it was like a $20 buy-in, but you could sell as many pieces you want, and every piece is $20.
Well, so I would say instead of making the artist buy into it,
Yeah,
I would say the artists actually get
Percentage.
some money, percentage of the money, and then of what's sold, and then we keep a percentage. That's the big 500 was every work was $40. The artist got 20. 20 went to the Oregon Food Bank. So and actually they provided, and this is just because they could. They had a framing shop. One of the guys had a framing shop he could cut, but they provided the wood panels for it, so
Yeah,
the
the one
artist
that
didn't
I
even have
did,
to
they
pay for that.
provided the postcard base, like it was archival type
Yeah.
paper, very thick.
So-
They sent it to us.
I think I don't want to make artists pay to play. Like we have enough of that. It's too much. We have so many things we have to pay for to just make art.
Well, and it's nice when you're handed what your boundaries are, because
Yeah, that's true.
the boundaries got surpassed. What do you know? It looks like a 3x3. I don't know.
I think
Exactly.
If you just open it to artists, like professional artists, I think, yeah, I agree with that. If you're opening up to community members and you're anticipating, a certain level of activity, and then half of them don't show with their art, putting a little skin in the game was, I think, to kind of keep people who wanted to try their hand at doing some art from not having, half your area filled, right, with pieces. But if you're doing just artists, I'm in agreement. I don't think making them pay to play, giving them the opportunity to display their art, and then raising money from part of the sale is a good idea.
I think that is actually overlaps with what you were referring to earlier about our priorities, because I think like doing art where it's actually artists making art versus anybody can do whatever. They're very different priorities from a perspective of who we are as a commission. And I think, that actually overlaps with that discussion, I think.
It does,
What
yeah.
is our focus?
Emma?
So when I think about work for a city the size of Oregon City, that really moves me. There's two examples I think of art that I've really noticed that is really significant. One is Mankato, Minnesota, which is I'm from Minnesota originally, and there's a small town in southern Minnesota called Mankato where 39 Native peoples were hung by President Lincoln in 1864. It was the largest mass execution in U.S. history. And it was at the end of the U.S. Dakota Wars. And there was these grain elevators that were painted in Mankato about 10 years ago to kind of show a different face to the city and the history of the city, which was very moving to me. And the other place I would think of where I've seen art recently, monumental murals, which is obviously what I'm talking about, that really interests me is over in Beaverton, in their Beaverton Arts District, which is really nice. It's down there in downtown Beaverton. And on the side of one of I think it's a clothing store, there's this big mural of I think it's a Somali lady in hijab. And it's just this incredible mural. I mean, it's so good. And it's huge. And it's with $36,000, if we could get the side of a building somewhere in town, we could do a great mural. I mean, we could do a mural that would really, ground this city if we picked the right kind of mural. I mean, it would have to be something that the city could live with. I don't think that we could do I would like to see us do something that honors the Native history of this community, but no matter what we do, we could do a really great mural for $36,000, a big one, if we could get the permission of
Do we have the time?
But we would
Well, actually, it's a legal matter because right now the law is written is because we're the ones that are going to approve the mural going up. We can't then also give them the funding for that mural at this time. One of my things that I want to talk about when we get to the priorities is, how do we approach working with the city to maybe update that law to allow us to do murals on public spaces? So it would be a public building city owns, where we can pay for it and also be either approver or some other approving system to allow us to do that. Because that's would be great. I agree, but I think we're going to run into legal issues.
So my other idea is the spring, which is the season we're coming into, is the salmon fishing season. So if we did something, that had something to do with this time of year when the salmon come in, and it's not just guys out there on those boats. I mean, this has been an important ritual. I mean, the salmon were incredibly important to people going back, 10,000 years here. And so maybe we could do something about salmon. I don't know, because it's that time of year.
The other thing I'd say about murals too, I mean, if we can help connect the dots. Oh, I'm sorry. Just that if people want to apply for an enhancement grant, we could direct them towards creating a mural and applying for the enhancement grant. So that's something to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you just got me all excited. I was like, that's another, idea of something that could inspire some different types of art. potentially. Dance, poetry are kind of similar, but
One
wanted
thought,
oh.
oh, sorry, wait, you just, I'm sorry.
But it made me think, just circling back to what Rebecca was saying about the art for every heart. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I love all these ideas and I want to keep brainstorming. I wanted to ask Amanda a question about music, because of live performance, like if we did a connection, like if we had an event and we maybe stayed with the grant idea just for that event and did a call, we want to do, maybe it's not I don't know what the right word is, but if we wanted to do a musical event in support of this survey suggestion, people want live performances, they want live music. Just based on her experience with the Porch Fest, how long would it take to identify, 6 bands or 6 performances and put together an event? And then we could tie that to a piece of art to tie the two together.
I could probably find 6 bands in the next week, but it also depends on our budget. Obviously, performers are more excited to show up and commit when there's some financial,
Of course.
incentive.
Yeah.
So once we decide a budget, we have, Porch Fest has a laundry list of local artists, and also, a good platform to reach out into the community and find others that maybe haven't participated before. So, that's something that definitely, we could help with, but yeah, that can be a pretty quick thing. It's not, doesn't take a long time. As soon as, we know dates and budget, it can happen pretty fast.
A couple of other events that come up in the spring. One is the Teddy Bear Parade. I don't know if we want to do something. That's a really popular weekend here in Oregon City, if we wanted to connect something with that. There's also car shows usually in the spring. If we wanted to
The car show, I think, is Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, that'd be a good week. I mean,
we could potentially do
we
something.
could do something sponsored by the Arts Commission when there's already lots of people in town.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sorry to interrupt. We could potentially just have a stage that's sponsored by the Arts Commission at one of these events, and we could put performers on it.
Yeah, I like the idea of the stage, and and if we go that route, I would love to see. I love music. Don't get me wrong, but I think it would be nice to maybe utilize the stage not just for music, performances like players, but also maybe some kind of music and dance, and maybe a little bit more varied than just, because there are a lot of music festivals that exist, but it would be nice if we go to the extent of getting an Arts Commission sponsored stage to really focus on the arts, the art for every heart. It would be nice to be broader than music, only music.
Just to chime in on that dance, and
You're next, Amy.
I'm sorry, Amy. Those kind of are a little bit harder because the performers need more time to prepare for that generally. But musicians, they sort of have a set list already. So I think it's a great idea, but we would have to move fast and try to find those people. If they don't, even reaching out a month or even 2 months in advance, sometimes they're either already booked or they, and there's a lot more people involved too. So they have to get everybody in their dance ensemble or in their theater troupe coordinated. And so sometimes it can be a little bit trickier for those types of performances. So if we did want to do that, we would need to make it happen quickly.
Maybe connect with the Oregon City Children Theater. That's, something to think about. Could be one, although they're not really professional. But, they're still very cute. Like I went to a couple and they're adorable. They're really good. And but I mean, dancers really depends, because I used to be a dancer actually for a long time. And really depends, if you're looking at big production with 20 or 30 dancers, yeah, that's kind of much harder. But there are dancers that do solo, they do improv, they are dancers that perform together with percussionists and they do improvisation. So the whole sorts of different type of dance performances that we could think of. It's just like, I think it would be nice to be broader than just one category versus the other, be like a bit more broad.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Hey. So circling back to the proposal for I've seen them 3x3, 4x4, 440, whatever they're called. I really like those, and a couple of reasons why it might benefit us is it will bring a lot more of the community in to kind of publicize what we're doing, where we want to go, and having a dog in the race, I guess is the way you put it. And we could have a performance at wherever this exhibition was. So we could make it a functioning event, but then we'd have a lot more people wanting to come. Because if you had 100 artists that had submitted something, they'll come and they'll bring their friends or their parents or whatever it is. And then music, it could be a cool event that wouldn't take as much time. Because I think the time is what's really freaky right now.
Along that same lines, I'm trying to think like what can we make the most impact with this funds, right? And one thing that we talked about earlier when we were doing the welcome warm up was we haven't done a great job of, I think, cultivating strong relationships with other groups in Oregon City in partnership. And to the if maybe using the same string here with the event and stuff, what if we had those artists spread out around downtown Oregon City and got involved with DOCA to, encourage shops and other places to be open, encourage,
Last Thursday.
Well, yeah.
But utilize, some other, maybe it's not DOCA, maybe it's someone else we partner with, but utilize some of their expertise and stuff to help us promote each other, right? And build that relationship.
Well, yeah.
I mean, maybe like last year, DOCA organized this thing, but it was like not how it could be. I think it was the first attempt, but like that idea of if we were to do the 500 by whatever, the size, the smaller size, and we had lots of them. Instead of having one place where they all are located, maybe they are actually distributed in different retail spaces. So and then there is a map and people can kind of view them in different places. Maybe there is a central area with the music and celebration, and some of them are there. Maybe there are a certain category, and then the other categories are all distributed in different places, so that everybody in the community maybe gets some benefit.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
One of the things that the $20 show and Ben did, which I thought was kind of smart, was they had one day of just display only. You can't buy, but you can only display.
Yeah.
So if you did kind of a weekend where Saturday was display only, artist was there and stuff, and then the next day you can come back and buy. So you kind of go around, talk to the artists, look at their paintings, all that, meet with them, and then the next day would actually be a day. So it would bring maybe some people back 2 days in a row, or people that can only make one day or the other. At least they still get opportunity to see and interact with the art.
Yeah.
And it gives more impact to downtown businesses, right? That they feel like they are getting, a little more traction with it. So it would help.
Yeah.
And then turning that around to Emma's point, maybe we encourage people to then sign up for giving up some of their building space for murals on the outside, right? Like if we can build relationships with downtown association, we then maybe earn credit later on that we can utilize. So.
Yeah. And the music thing celebration could be down at the
courthouse. I think it could be right there.
It's there.
At the courthouse, and
I think DOCA would be delighted to have out and partner.
I think I agree that partnering with DOCA and helping bring additional activities to downtown makes a lot of sense. We could also have We could have a concert in the park and a concert in in downtown. We could do both.
Yeah.
You know, a couple, you know, and then that way we could open up.
Amy, or sorry, Amanda's got a,
I just wanted to say I have a meeting with Goga on the 7th, so I would be happy to bring this up if we are all in agreement and just see what they say.
While we're still talking about ideas, what if we spend some money on speakers or symposiums? Like, what if we brought in storytellers to the library, or
poets.
yeah, a poet, or
I love the idea
somebody,
of like a poetry slam.
you know, somebody. Well, I mean, what if we? I mean, for $36,000, we could bring in some really high quality speakers to Oregon City. Like, we could bring authors. We could bring, you know, people who in some way are connected to the arts. Maybe somebody. Maybe we could, you know, do a little bit of equity here and like pay someone from the you know, the Confederated Tribes to come in, and like we could do a series of speakers from the Confederated Tribes who come in and talk about Oregon City's history for settlement or
There's-
Oregon City. I don't know. I mean, there's
Yeah.
all different kinds of opportunities. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities for bringing in.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of thing that, you know, I mean, we could really generously reimburse someone for their time.
One of the historians for the Grand Ronde, I'm blanking on his name, but I just read his latest book is called the Tribal Histories of Willamette Valley. So, and it was published 4 years ago. I'd have to check on that, but it's recently published. So, but that yeah, cool.
I mean, what if we found like 6 speakers that were great? We reached out to the library or some other space in town that could hold a good sized audience and brought them in and said, this is sponsored by the Oregon City Arts Commission, and offered, you know, an honorarium for each person that's really, you know, acknowledges and, you know, what they're actually worth is.
So not time, I think, might be a problem. Anybody like an author that they're like bands, they're booked a lot of times.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. I'm just saying, keep it in mind. That the ones that the higher we reach, the harder it will be time-wise. Not to say, maybe a guy who wrote a book doesn't go anywhere and he's right here and it's easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, if we were looking at an honorarium of say $3,000 to $5,000 for someone, I think we could find some really good people who would do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like, because I mean, if we go for the big shots, it would be like $50,000. They're very expensive, but if you want someone that is more maybe local, which actually makes sense.
I mean, and we could also focus on, you know, at this time when there's all this criticism about certain kinds of forms of inclusiveness. I mean, I think that's the kind of place where the arts kind of step into it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't see why we couldn't bring, I mean, I would love to bring in queer artists to come in and talk.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'd like to bring in a queer artist to come and talk. I'd like to bring in, you know, an indigenous person to come in and speak.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring in a BIPOC person who's, I mean, we have, the library has hosted authors. We could also do, anyways, it's just an idea.
I love that idea. I really, and I think the library will be very much open. They've got a space there that is not used as much as they probably would like to. And the idea of bringing people from different artistic backgrounds, but also from different walks of life and different diverse typologies of humans. And that would be really wonderful.
So just thinking in terms of time, we've got 2025 parties to go. We're still on this one topic. Maybe try and let's get some of our financial ideas out in the next 5 minutes, and then start talking about action plan and picking which ones we want to go with. Right now, what I'm quick back of the paper numbers, if we did say 3 of those talks, poetry or whatever, 3,000 a piece for a different artists to come in and speak, April, May, June kind of thing, where we did one a month. And then DOCA event, 10,000, 5,000 for the performance itself in the courthouse or whatever. Those could be flex and stuff. Again, back of the paper. 2,000 for the Art for Every Heart program, and then website I put about 10 grand. But we could probably, depending on how much we want, we could probably cut that down a little bit and reallocate some of those funds elsewhere. Right now, that's 36,000.
Yeah.
Done. Was website on there?
Yeah. Website.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Can I just, I'm sorry, just circle back. I love the idea if we're doing a fundraiser and if we're doing like some type of art sale to include DOCA and bring it downtown. I wonder, I still feel like having a more central location for an event that is over 2 days. I think 2 days would be great to give people more of a chance, but dispersing the artwork and peppering it around a bunch of different businesses. Yeah, we could talk more about how we're gonna do that, but I don't know, time wise and effectiveness of selling the art. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like how I feel about that.
We could keep talking about that too for, because once July 1st comes, then we've got the next biennium. So that could be a big one. We could start planning for that, if we can't do it in 2 months, we could start planning for that in funds in the next biennium.
So what we're going to need to do now basically is take each of these down and break them down into smaller pieces and come back March with a proposal for each that we can approve.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
So
these are all great ideas, but
should we consider a fallback in the event that we don't have enough time to do the planning or things kind of fall apart?
You think like party bus?
No, as a matter of fact, I wasn't, but it's an interesting idea. No, I mean, like, to get to Daria's point, that there is art that exists, ready to buy it right now, off the shelf. And so the intriguing thing is, do we have to have a space identified? What if we bought it and then we had to wait until we could find a place? But just something that it's like, oh, those two things didn't go well. What can we do to spend that money?
Yeah, definitely. I like the idea of being responsive to our survey input of hosting multiple performers and having more live events, because I think that's what we heard.
Yeah.
But
I'm seeing a plan B.
Plan B.
That's something in the back pocket in case.
What if a plan B was to, I don't know if we can do this or not, but could we give portions of the money to other arts organizations in town? Like, could we give $10,000 to the Clackamas County Historical Society? Or could we give $5,000 to the theater, to the Repertory Theater, or to the Children's Theater? Like, for something that they're doing. Could we say a gift? Like,
we would.
They would have to eat them.
I don't know either, because again, that gets us back to we would have to have a. But I think we have to have a call
or something that would have
to coordinate a
You
call.
either put in a
I feel
building
like
or on a
high
wall or.
schools are always trying to raise money for something. What if the band or the choir at the local high school needed money to go on a performance trip or a competition?
sure.
And we were able to grant them money to go towards that.
I mean, we
That would
could.
be huge.
Yes, we definitely could, but I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
It just gets us back to the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying it gets us back to if we ask for grant proposals and then we get. What you're saying and what you're saying. But
Yeah, but hold on. They're not saying, I don't think either person is saying, do open it up as a grant. Us approaching like an organization and being like, is there anything that we can help you with that's going to take place or be used before June? Are we allowed to do that?
Pick a winner and
That's a legal
other people
question.
don't win? Then somebody comes along and says, wait a minute, I have kids that wanna go on a tour.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
could we maybe identify, I don't know, I'm just like throwing it there, I have no idea if this is even possible to identify, but if we could identify a school that has, vast majority children, coming from a less advantaged families that are less likely to be exposed to the arts because of their socioeconomic condition, right? If we could identify a school that has got that kind of, I would prefer to go there than going into the school
Sure.
that has got gazillions and they do this stuff all the time, right?
100%.
If we got to the point where we had 10,000 sitting around, we didn't know what to do with in that time frame, I would have no problem going, to a local art store, just buying as much stuff as possible, and then taking it to some schools and just dropping it off.
Yeah.
Is that legal though? I mean, can we do that?
Yeah, why not?
Whatever we do, it has to be open, transparent. This is our idea. We announce it to the public. We give feedback. So.
I mean, by March meeting, we should have an idea of where we stand, because if people take these offline, go figure out a plan and kind of noodle the numbers to get to where we are, we'll kind of have an idea of what would be left, right? And whether or not they're actually possible in that time frame.
Right, so like with the website, will we be able to find somebody that is available to get it done by June 30th?
I work also with the developers,
Absolutely.
No
but
problem,
yeah,
yeah,
we'd have to open it up, right?
Yeah. I don't think that would be a problem.
No.
Okay.
Depends on how elaborate we want it. We can make it,
We've got a lot of restrictions, so we can't be too elaborate.
Myra's got her hand up. Yeah.
In the same vein as the website, do we have words? Sorry. Like flyers, the trifolds, business cards, things like that, when we represent ourselves at events?
No.
Can we put some of the funds towards that as well, so that when we are doing a table event, we have information or stickers or swag to give out to people?
That's why I want that logo. I just think it would be so nice to have that, because we're married
Love it.
to the Oregon City
We
logo.
can't
We
change
can't
that
do
logo.
anything for us as the art commission, but the Art for Every Heart, we have some creative work.
although,
I love that.
James did say that we could do the logo and then at the bottom we could do art commission.
Yeah, but
That's not, it's not great, but, if we found someone who could set up the website, get it at least, a lot of it set up, squared out, that saves us time and Haslam launches it. And then also can do matching handouts, right? Because a lot of the content we put on the website, we'll put in those brochures and stuff, and if they match, it's just like,
brochures,
we got
we can
Like
do
we got it together.
stickers.
like we got together.
We want to do the printed collateral, we wanted to do the website.
Yeah.
So you need a graphic designer / web developer?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not a web developer, they're not gonna have to write code, just a web designer.
What if we reached out to the art lab folks over at the library and asked them what are their needs this spring? Maybe we could support them in something that they're doing, or if we said, look, we have this $30,000, it's arts commission money, we need to spend it by June. You're already doing arts lab, community stuff. I mean, they do all kinds of community art presentations every week down at the library. Maybe they would have some ideas about how we could spend some of our money.
Yeah, and in that vein, so last year I went to give a talk at a middle school, Tamwara Middle School, and they have incredible art, state-of-the-art art thing, right? And then I know that there's another couple of high schools that got state-of-the-art art thing. They've got everything you can think of from an artistic perspective. Those kids have availability, but then there are other schools that are not in that camp. They really have almost nothing. Literally all very, very basic, almost nothing. And I mean, if we really need to use some money, I mean, and being able to purchase, a 3D printer versus whatever there is, different type of equipment and give them to one or two schools that have no ability to do any art, it would be really wonderful, I think, just
Maybe we should talk with somebody on the school board. Does anyone, I mean, I know a couple of people on the school board.
I'm sure Amanda.
Yeah, recently they cut all the funding
She's
from a
not
lot
there.
of schools.
Yeah.
I don't blame
I know, the arts is one of the first things to go.
Like when the school goes, they cut everything. No more.
So Anne, I really would like us to check with James. For some reason, I just really heard him loud and clear that this has to be a vetting process. It can't just be us going, I want to give you some money.
Well, that's what I mean, you're right. I think you're right. So, and it has to be a public process. So I think if we, we've got a lot of great ideas now. And I think at our March meeting, we can narrow it down and say, these are the ways we want to move forward. And then, yes, but
Well, I was gonna say-
there is a public process to that. Yes.
Process that's only for schools.
Yeah, we can limit who could, just like we limit, you have to be professional artists to do some of our.
I mean,
Oh, sorry. I would like to just say, so in the decision-making, I'm conceptual. I'm a big picture thinker, willing to take risk, who can make long-term decisions. And in that, what I wanted to say was, we as an arts commission, since I wasn't there the first 2 years it was reinstated, I was there for the third year. We have looked like a fledgling little chick kind of limping along. And in order for us to legitimize and promote ourselves in a way so that we can do all the things we want to do, we can do the give to education, we could do a community center, we could do all those things. I think this is a really nice time to think about ways to solidify who we are and use that money to that. Through a website, through that contest. And we want to give to the arts also. I think we can determine how we can do that. But I don't think it's a bad idea for the majority of money going to promotional materials. And ways for us to solidify who we are so we can communicate it efficiently in the community and start making those connections so that our community knows that they have an arts commission and so that we can start doing fundraising and getting momentum built into making those connections so that we can stand up straight and move with all the ideas we have. So that's all I'm saying.
Well said. Well said.
So we have about 9 minutes left until 8 o'clock.
Yep. So I like very well said, choir. When we were going to talk about our 2025 priorities and work groups, I'd like to ask if there's maybe 2, maybe 3 volunteers here. I don't know, but then, to do a work group that could help us put together this budget. Like Josh just started to take some of our ideas and started to, 5,000 for our website is for some of, let's do something toward the Art for Every Heart contest where we're having submissions, a visual submission or whatever. And we do a website and we get some performances done, live performances. Take those ideas and then really flesh out a budget and then bring that to the March meeting.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask for volunteers of these items now, and then have them come back at March with a proposal that we can officially approve, right? The final, how we're gonna spend this money. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
So,
Right on, choir, raise your hand, who's with her?
we were talking, my decision making is task driven, and I try very hard to make sure I incorporate the behavioral side too, even though it's not naturally my area. So
You're doing great.
So can you do the recap?
Yeah, so the
website, Art for Every Art, marketing things?
Yeah, so we have the Art for Every Heart contest. So is someone interested in focusing on that? And I'll read through them once all, and then we'll go back through each one. So Art for Every Heart contest, website / collateral development, including printing and all that.
Why don't we make it a billboard too? Got the money. Heart for every heart on a big field.
I love it.
I love that.
But those are probably scheduled out too, right?
People call it.
Probably.
To do it.
But it's free.
That's a
promotes the Oregon City Arts.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Uh-huh.
good future.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if someone wants, if you're gonna take yours, you can come back with whatever brainstorm you want to propose to the group, and then we can decide on it then. I'm not saying we're limited to just flyers and stuff, but if you want to propose, if we also wanted to do a billboard, we can. So it's open to whoever wants to take responsibility for that proposal when we come back in March.
So we got Art for Every Heart.
Art for Every Heart website, collateral, I kind of tied together. We have the downtown fundraiser event, art walks with performance. I think that has to kind of be all incorporated into one. And then we have the artist talk, I'll call it, poetry reading / artist talk. Yeah, is that calculated? So that's also V1. So basically,
Those four
one,
things.
2, 3, 4 projects. So I'll read back through them now, and if you want to raise your hand to participate, please do so. We'll try and keep it 2 per, so we're not breaking any public meeting laws, but yeah. So Art for Every Heart contest.
Thank you, Emma.
Double check over my shoulder for Amanda. Okay, so Art for Every Heart, Emma. Website, printing, collateral, billboard,
I can work on that.
and okay. The DOCA event, fundraiser, art walk, performance. Choir and
Nice.
Oh, Amanda's raising.
yeah, you got it.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then the poetry talk, artist talk.
Okay.
You want to do things?
That's cool.
Are you okay with that? You're like, bring it.
I love that.
Okay, so art for Every Heart contest. We just have Emma for that one.
I'll work on that. I was just waiting for everyone.
Yeah. And then website, production, collateral, billboard, Anne's the only one on that right now.
Anybody else want to hop on that? No? Yeah?
That's cool. No, that's cool. I get it.
What?
No, it's good. I got it.
Doing it.
And you know what? No, I can't do
No,
two
you
things.
don't.
Don't do it.
Don't
I want to.
Real quick, I think what we would need to know is a timeline or time frame of the plan, what you would think it would cost, who do we need to partner with, if partnering with anyone, right? Anything else that we would need to know in the in the proposal back to the group by next March.
Seems like
Makes sense.
Permissions, yeah, so any legalities, any kind of permissions that we would need to resolve before, right?
Cool. So again,
So any kind of legalities or
Legalities,
permissions
yeah.
that we would have to overcome to, fulfill.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll join
Oh,
choir and
Sorry.
Amanda on the third one.
okay. Oh, no, you don't want to have 3 people.
You just-
on
You
it.
can. I think I can. 3. Is
Are you-
3 okay?
can you?
I thought 3 was
I
okay.
thought 3 put you over.
No, I think it's,
Yeah.
Is it
well,
okay
it's a
for-
4 puts you over.
I thought
yeah.
it was.
No, no, no.
I thought it was
I
4.
think it's 3.
Really?
Three.
Well, all right. I'll
But I have a proposal though. I think personally that the website / collaterals, perhaps
Split them up.
Yeah.
they should be split because, while it's the same person, they might do the design. I think the collaterals could be many things and they're slightly different.
Why don't you and I do website?
Okay.
Amy, would you do?
Oh, I love
It's
this.
collateral.
I'm just sitting across from her. I think that's what it is.
To do collateral and billboard / billboard.
I don't want to do.
But I thought
Yeah.
Emma and. Wait, no,
I can. I'm happy to work on collateral. That feels kind of
So-
staffing to me.
I think that the same professional is very likely to be able to, it's just design.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would keep them together.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the website. We're talking about a website
A web designer.
versus
A web design.
graphic design. And they definitely want to collab,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's a horrible idea to have it be two people.
Yeah, it could be.
It'd be nice
But
if
we were
could find
talking about
be
it
one
being sort of the
person.
same.
Yeah, they use the same criteria, but they don't have.
I think-
necessarily.
For what we need in terms of a proposal is, at this point, when we get to the point of like actually developing content stuff, yeah, that might be
Yes.
separate people. But I think right now, we would just say, propose what you think we would need. To postcards, bifolds, business cards, or whatever it might be, or, you know, it could be just tablecloths, right? Like, what would you suggest we include in kind of make sure the pricing there?
Yeah,
works,
I
right?
can do that.
And can I ask, the downtown fundraiser walk with performance thing, is that also the one where the small size, okay.
Yeah.
So that could be split into
That could
two,
be
because
split.
that's a big one.
They're big things, so like the art club and the walk with performance would be two different endeavors.
I think, I think we have, go ahead. Yeah. Amanda, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think maybe, if we're dividing things up into smaller groups, that event could be two separate things. I mean, the performance part of it could be two people figuring that out, and then the
Okay.
art
So-
part of it, the fundraiser part of it could be another part. And obviously, we'd have to coordinate a bit, but it might make more sense to split it up.
I'm sorry, the concept started out as having some type of art fundraiser and including a performance to draw more people. And then it turned into, well, let's do it downtown and get the downtown association involved and then put all the art in businesses. I think I would like to say, let's keep that as one thing, because I think we need to decide how to do that event. We were talking about the same event and then the ideas about how to do the event snowballed.
Yeah.
So I think for this run, to get this money used by this time, let's keep it a fundraising event with a performance, and we can figure out the best way to do it. Does that make sense?
I think that
Yes.
works, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So not the call for art, the smaller formats that cost $50 or $40.
Maybe. Yeah, I think we're being tasked with, let's make a fundraiser event with a performance and figure out the best way to do it, that we can get it promoted well and done by June.
One other
Yeah.
calculation I'd like to is how can we utilize it to, one, advertise the Arts Commission and our work, and two, how can we use it to build partnerships and community relationships, right? Those,
Okay.
we can still do it maybe with having one location, but how do we figure that out?
Okay, so those are two big objectives.
I think those are two objectives I think we kind of would be good to have come out of that.
I agree, yeah.
event.
Yeah, and to that end, I think there might be room in the budget to also, like, if in addition to having a fundraising event kind of thing, we could also do like have an arts commission stage at another event, like someone mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at the car show.
Like at the car show or
That would
something.
be for Amanda and Choir to figure out.
So maybe given that in next meeting, I'm gonna have also something else to share with the group, maybe I should give my space to, so that there's no groups of three, to someone that wants to volunteer.
I'll do the art.
You want to do the art for every
Yeah,
half
for
instead of me? Yeah, so that, everybody gets a chance to.
Thanks, Jen.
For that to do.
I have a question for you. With the website, because this is these types of funds, do we have to open it up? Or do we get to go find somebody?
That's one of those legality things we gotta figure out.
I think I will find out. I'll determine. I think at a $5,000 level, it would. I'll find out.
But it wouldn't be necessarily a grant, it would be an RFP, right?
Right.
So it'd be a little bit different.
Maybe, like, one thing, what you were suggesting earlier, to have an eventual potential plan B just in case, which could be a plan B that we can use next year, next year anyway. That notion of maybe trying right now to find out what it would cost if we were to want to put a piece of art elsewhere, right? And we wanted to get permits, right? Finding out that information.
I can explore that if you.
Would you like to work on plan B with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Plan B.
Would be good.
Okay, I like that.
I was also really super intrigued with what James was saying about this idea of partnering with a bank because they're required to invest in the community. Oh, I like that.
I like that
So,
a lot.
so
That
You know,
should be-
there's exhibition space, because I know in Portland, there are a lot of banks that rotate art.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
That's what Clackamas Arts Alliance does.
yeah. And that's moving on to like maybe us discussing our priorities for this year.
Yeah.
In this meeting,
So tying up this one, everyone has their assignments. We'll come back with those key pieces to having your proposal at the March meeting, and we'll decide on the budget then. If we have leftover funds, Amy and I will have small things we could put that towards. If we have larger amount of funds, we'll have a few options to kind of fall into the plan B, right? And make sure we understand any kind of stipulations with that. Cool. All right. We can then
Yay,
go on
team.
to priorities. 2025 priorities, or to be honest with you, I'm gonna maybe think of this broader than just maybe 2025, like the next biennium maybe might be a good starter point. How does everyone feel about that? If we, then I think we're gonna be head down for the next 3 months on all of this work. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to think broader, and we're gonna need probably a little bit of a summer break.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it would be nice to have 3 to 5 years, actually, strategic planning, honestly.
Yeah.
it's nice.
yeah, so that was something we had talked about a while back, early on in the Arts Commission. We never really moved forward with it. We kind of got, I think, sidetracked with a lot of other things. But it would be something I would like to see us work towards is identifying, 3, maybe 4. If you get more than that, it's I think too much goals. And then from there we have, smaller, or maybe I should say 3 or 4 objectives. And then under that you have 3 or 4 goals that lead to that objective, right?
Mm.
Good.
Oh, no, I have a goal.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So maybe that's what, in terms of just framing this conversation, we should try and narrow ourselves down to is what would be big 3 to 4 goals we could look at achieving in the next, say, biennium 3-5 years, right? So
I have a quick question. How much time do we have left tonight? And how much more do we have to cover? Just so that we could I just want to make sure we cover what we need to.
We have the space until 8:45. So it's 8:00 now. So it's actually it's 8:05. So we have 40 minutes.
40 minutes, 4 ideas.
Well, do we need to also talk about the MOU?
Oh.
We should need to give ourselves,
Do we want to move forward with that MOU now and get it done since that is
Yeah.
business?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's spend some time. Did everyone have 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the MOU? And if not, there should be, I have copies here if you need one. So again, excellent, exciting news for the Arts Commission in that we are going to be able to operate and maintain an independent website. And now we have a budget for it too. Yeah.
So everyone's aware, I had a couple changes
There isn't
to
funding
this that I had
down here.
asked James, so I would ask that those be included before we sign. One would be, there was a misspelling in the background first paragraph. Also in that paragraph, there's the sentence, the Arts Commission considers the current arrangements of going through several channels to promote the arts as stifling its ability to fulfill its mission. I thought stifling seemed a little bit harsh, and I proposed, and I'm blanking on what I proposed. Do you remember? Off the top of your head?
I have your email.
Yeah, but it was a good word.
Yeah.
I
Cumbersome to its ability to fulfill its mission. So instead of stifling, cumbersome.
So those 2 corrections on first page.
Cumbersome make it feel like it's more like we're just awkwardly getting in each other's way rather than, like like when you're trying to, at a party, trying to get to the bathroom down the hall or something.
So not covered. You're good.
Oh, yeah.
So those were the two main changes. A couple other things with this that James really would confirm was that we would also have access to the photo library that all staff have access to. Oregon City photos that we could use for different reasons, purposes. And then we'd also have access to the logos files as well. So we wouldn't have to ask people for those. We'd actually get, a full suite of the pictures and images for our use. So,
And then they also provided us with their brand guidelines.
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
Does everyone have a copy of that?
Yeah. So there's particular fonts, styles, color palettes.
Yeah, the writing styles. Jared did that. It was really nice.
Any other questions on the MOU? Okay. I'll ask for a motion to approve with the two changes we talked about, that I then sign on behalf of the Arts Commission, and we get this executed. So, such a motion?
I motion.
Farmer?
Second.
Amy seconds.
Amy can.
Rebecca seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Cool.
All right.
Considered approved. And I can swing into the office when you're ready and sign it.
Okay.
anytime.
That sounds terrific. Or I can send you a digital.
Yeah, it was James and it was Ann and the team there. I just did the last little bit of looking at it. Okay, priorities.
I think something that would help us and also be easy to do for the fact that it wouldn't cost money is to send out a request for qualifications for artists, both performing, excuse me, and visual and literary. Just to have a roster of artists who'd be interested in doing public art, whether it be performances, reading, or sculpture, or visual. We could just put that request for qualifications out. We could, and it'd be just like how we do our process for choosing, like how we chose somebody for sculpture. Like we could go over their, work examples, their CVs or resumes. And then we could say, we want these people on the roster for if we have any projects in mind or whatever. So I just think that would be helpful just to have that.
Just clarification though, can we, without putting out an RFP, do we have the ability to say that person is the best muralist? We'd be lucky if we got him.
Well, so maybe taking your idea and saying, how do we broaden that to encapsulate it without being, maybe specific on the exact how until we figure it out. So like implementing programs which would highlight and promote artists in the community or something like that, right?
No, this is having a roster of artists is something that a lot of cities do of public arts. It's a request for qualifications. It's like putting a call out. We just basically want to see your work examples. We want to see your resume. And then if, we'd pick a bunch of people that we would just have on our roster just to have people to work with in the future and things like that. Like, we're not saying we're going to do any type of projects with them. It's just a roster.
It's like almost a demographic. Demographic.
Yeah, Seattle does this, Portland does this, like.
I like it. I'm not against it. I'm worried that we wouldn't be able, how useful, and so I'd love to hear what the other cities do. So let's just say, Choir, you just moved here and you're an awesome visual artist and you didn't get on the list. So instead of an RFP going out to the general public, they just went to their shortlist roster. Is there trouble in that?
Ooh.
Well, I'm not saying that we would always, that's how we're gonna do calls for art, is just from that roster. Like,
What would it be good for?
But if someone came to our list and said, oh, these are the artists that I'm going to pick from, versus doing a broader call out and getting other artists that might be in the same area that like moved here, I think, which is I think why we need to do, I agree with you that doing a list would be a good idea and just general promotion of artists, but how do we do that in such a way where it remains, what do I want to say, cyclical, like it keeps getting updated regularly?
Yeah.
yeah, we can do it every 2 years, like put
Promotion
out.
of local artists.
Yeah.
And then my answer to you is what it's for is like, you guys were just talking about like, oh, well, maybe with this funds, if we have some left over, we could go buy an art piece. From whom? If we had a list of people that were pre-approved that we felt had art that fit our vision and that we felt was of good quality and would work with community, then we would have a list of people to be like, cool, we have some extra money. Let's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I like it. It makes me worried too, though. I wish James was here. Like, yes, and I would love nothing more than to go.
right. Well, and also like when we put a request for proposals out, if it matches, we have people to be like, hey, did you see that we put this out? Like, we would like for you to apply too. Like, is that not kosher, do you think?
I have no clue.
I don't know,
So-
but I like that idea for the different reasons. I mean, I like the reason that but I can see also another usage of that list,
Yeah.
which is, if we have our website, part of our responsibility to make transparent, about what the art scenarios are in our city, right? And so if we had actually every 2 years, we were to do some sort of survey and mapping of the artist population that exists in Oregon City, then we can publish it on the website and then say, hey, the artist population this year, we've just done the demographic survey, consists of XYZ artists, this percentage in performing arts, the percentage, and if you want to learn more about them, here is the listing, and
Yeah.
go and help yourself learning about them.
Yeah.
So
And right now too, we're kind of like, we're spitballing ideas. We're like, we're saying like one thing we want to do in the next 3 to 5 years is create
And mapping.
a mapping or a directory.
Yeah,
It's just for informational purposes. People can submit their own information.
I would say almost
We
always
do like a studio arts tour. Can we take this idea and rather than have like a reserved list that's like artists that we choose from, which is problematic, could we sponsor or help support an event where artists are allowed to promote themselves? Like a studio arts tour, a walk of Oregon City Arts.
Yeah, I think all those ideas, you could merge them under one objective, or maybe we'll call it a principle that is key to us, is the promotion of artists in Oregon City,
Yeah.
right? It could be through like you said, site visits. It could be through a qualified vendor list. It could be through demographic, an artist impact in Oregon City economy, right? It could be any study. It could be any of those kind of things that falls under that. But I think in general, we're all in the same idea that we want to find ways to promote artists in Oregon City.
I think it's about making visible the arts.
Yeah.
It's about increasing the visibility of Oregon City.
Yeah, and also we as the art commission should know who the artists are in our community
for sure.
and what they're doing,
Yeah,
and
no,
what kind of work they're doing.
I love the list. I'm sorry. You know what? Can we get some direction on that from the city?
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, I think, yes, I mean, I appreciate your caution about like promoting one artist over another. But if it's just a general directory, I think
But to Tammy's point, I feel like the mayor told us last time we couldn't do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the impression from her that the way we were describing it, at least at that point, was not how we would do it.
There was some sort of a contract that we had to
Yeah.
get into,
Yeah.
so
I but
forget what it was.
taking kind of concepts, and again, I'm just brainstorming here. What I've put down is making visible artists and impact of artists to Oregon City, like as an objective. And now we can take that and start breaking down into these little pieces and figuring out how do we do that,
Yeah.
right? This is the what, then we can figure out the how.
I think Mayor McGriff's caution was just like, directories exist. So like, I think she was like, don't duplicate something that the Clackamas County Art Alliance is already doing.
I thought it was a contract thing. I thought it was a legal.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll have to go back and look at those notes, then I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was something, it was
Okay.
when she was,
Okay.
when she went over the time, remember? It was in January, and she was talking about, what was it? It was some sort of a contract, like, we've heard this word before, this phrase of this type of contract. It's like, no, you'd have to enter into blah, blah, blah.
She was saying that when we were, she was saying it was just, and that's what we ended up doing. When we were getting ready in the discussion of the public renovation grant, she said to just do a qualified vendor call, which we do have, and it's on our webpage, so people can fill out an application. I'm a qualified vendor. I'm an artist,
That's what
and it was qualified. It was a qualified vendor application, and that's on the webpage right now.
Okay, so an artist could be a qualified vendor?
If, as an
And that
artist,
would satisfy.
I would never, I would not know
understand.
that was asking
For a
artists
thing.
to, but
We
a qualified vendor, when I think of vendors, like,
Yeah.
buy this hot dog. Like, I think
We
it's gonna
could
be-
market it. We could market it.
For our
but-
purposes, we need to rephrase that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
very
Okay.
confusing, and I don't
But
think
what-
that's gonna draw in.
But my question is, what choir, and this is the goal, not the objective, but what choir was asking, would that satisfy that if it fell under the vendor, qualified vendor?
Yes, I think you're right. I think we could rephrase it, market it really different. So we've had two people submit their qualifications.
Because, great, these people are submitting their qualifications. We're not just gonna make
I
a
know.
list and be like, here's anybody who does a mural. We're going to look at these people like, well, are they going to do quality murals? Are they gonna
Right.
be appropriate for public? You
Yeah,
know,
they're all
that's-
under the
that's-
issue there too, though, with what is us to say that, like, what qualifies us to.
Yeah, we're the Arts Commission.
Well, yeah, but
All interviewed.
Well, and I think we're trying to do that too. Even like, you guys have the economic development newsletter, and we're trying to highlight a business and an artist every quarter.
Yeah,
And like, how do I know? How do I do that?
yeah.
So I would again really, really love to say, this is our goal, we're talking about it,
Yeah.
we like it. Now, what are our restrictions? Are we constrained
Yeah.
in any way?
Right.
Do we have to rename it in some way or, whatever?
Yeah.
one other thing I wanted to do real quick, while we're talking through this, because again, we've got 40 minutes or
35.
25. Real quick, I'm going to read out our vision statement as kind of a refresh.
I like it.
So the Arts Commission envisions and fosters a future where the arts are supported and celebrated as a vital force that builds community. We strive for a thriving, culturally enriched, and sustainable ecosystem that supports economic prosperity, diversity, equity, and connection to place. So in thinking of that, I think we've kind of all in agreement with the first objective is making visible, and we can wordsmith it, but making visible artists and the impact of art and artists to Oregon City.
May I ask you, under that objective, I don't know if it fits under that or you say additional potential objective, something about bringing a tangible, visible and permanent art presence on the fabric of the city. So, I think there is certain things that we can do. They are ephemeral and temporary, like events, right? And then there are things that aren't ephemeral and temporary, they are permanent on the fabric of the city. The mural, the sculpture, modification or whatever, but things that actually, they last through generations. And I think there should be an objective that speaks to that and is very uncompromisingly about having a permanent artistic mark on the fabric of the cityscape.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think something that we should keep in mind when we're planning things to events, sculptures, is that I think a lot of things are start at like 7th and end at Malala, right? Like once you turn that corner, it's like from there to downtown. That's where I think if we brought art into different places in Oregon City too, like made an effort to do that, I think that'd be.
I agree with that.
One
Yeah.
of the biggest ways that we could have an impact over the long term on Oregon City arts is simply to get the city to invest more in the arts. I mean, I raised the point at the last meeting that the budget, the amount that we spend on the Arts Commission is 0.02 100%. So that's like 1/50th of 1% of the city budget.
Yeah.
A typical city of Oregon City size spends between 0.5 and 2%.
Yeah.
0.5% of the biannual budget would be about $650,000, which would be a much more significant investment in the arts. And if we got the city to either adopt a percent for arts program or invest more in the arts, I think that would have a huge long-term impact on the culture of arts in our city. And you can, quite frankly, you can see the difference between a city like Oregon City and a city like Beaverton.
Yeah.
In terms of how those city councils invest in their arts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're here for, is to advocate for increased funding for the arts in our city.
I think I agree with that, and I think that how we get there. So two of the most successful, well, three of the most large and successful arts organizations in the city. I could think of SAC, the Seattle Arts Culture Council. I could think of RAC, our Regional Arts and Culture Council, and then the city of Auburn. I've actually worked with once, and what these cities have in common is that they have a way that they fund the arts that is consistent every year. Seattle has different calls, different events, different residencies. They have a lot of things because they have the 1% for architects. They are well funded. So, but with their grant program, they have different types of grants. They have educational grants. They have grants for public performances. But they're steady and almost always the same. There's new things that pop up, but they have like pillars that they do every year. The city of Auburn is probably smaller than we are. They a few years back actually built an art center, and they have 4 things that they do for artists every year. They have a rotating exhibition. I think it's on a 2-month schedule at their city hall of art. They have a large gallery. They have a storefront downtown that they rent out to do art installations in, so that people walking. They have like a sculpture park that changes. It's like temporary sculptures, and then they have events up there. They have stuff centered around the art center. So they have 4 pillars that they focus on year in and year out, that they have built their arts community around. And RAC is very similar also. They have their certain type of grants and certain type of programs that they do every year. And I think that would behoove us as we're setting our priorities, as we're thinking about what we're doing. I think it would be good to be like, well, what in the long run, what do we want to do? Do we want to fund 4 different things? Do we want to be able to fund professional artists, public art, performances, education, community projects? Do we want to have a 5-prong approach of things we do every year? Do we, yeah, I think we need to figure out what we're focusing on, because we can say in an ambiguous way, like, we need more funding for the arts. Don't you want a thriving art community? But if the city doesn't know what that looks like, it doesn't know the actual step, we know the actual steps to take that, to give that to them.
Yes.
What are they funding?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was feeling as you were speaking that it was really tying back to how you're talking about, we're making these priorities, we're making these goals, and we're creating an arts commission that's thriving and maturing. Mm-hmm. Once they see the arts commission thriving and maturing, it's almost like coming in as a business with a business plan. Mm-hmm. People giving you a loan are going to take you a lot more seriously with a business plan than if you're just like, I have a dream, you know?
Right.
So I feel like as we grow, as we solidify all these things that we're planning, like at this very moment, I think that'll make us look like a viable organization that's going to be like worthy and more of the funds that that you're saying.
Well, and I think, yeah, so our two tests right now are the public art renovation grant and and what we've been discussing, and I think we're gonna be successful in both, and that's gonna go a long way.
So maybe one thing as an objective is establishing a strategy document and an overall, I don't know what I want to say, organizational formation that promotes arts, but also builds financial support for the arts and gets us to that, like you said, that big game level where we can show that, hey, this is us in top gear, how we can do things and, what we can achieve, in Oregon City. So I think it's gonna, and this was something that I'm probably going to talk about in the March meeting. Dara's been working on a set of protocols to help kind of just frame out things better for us and make our processes more efficient so we can maximize time and efficiency of our resources. And I think we need to do that. I think we need to establish the strategy document. I think we need to talk to the banks and we need to talk to other possible, there are probably people in Oregon City that have art that they would donate, for city use and things, and we have no donation program or anything like that. We talk about fundraisers, we could probably do more fundraisers, right? I think there's a lot of things there in that kind of administrative operation side that we cleaned up and got tight and nice. We actually surprised ourselves with how much we could start getting done.
Right, I agree.
So I think that should be one of our objectives in the next few years is to get that.
And I was just gonna say, somewhere in here, you're also gonna put us changing the law about
Yes. So I think that would maybe fall under, I could write it in a way that could make it fall under that, but I'd have to wordsmith it. Yes, it is.
I think that's important.
Get the chains off, right?
Yeah, please.
And what I can help review the existing, our public mural program was approved by city commission. So if we're going to make amendments to that, we'll have to take it to commission.
Yeah, so we want to put together a plan for, why it would be important to remove and all that, because we have to give a motivation to do it. They have enough on their plate, so we have to somehow make this a decent of priority.
We are going to talk to them in May at our annual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
One thing to in for future thinking, but I don't want to lose it, but also might be useful for the folks that are doing the downtown fundraiser, could be something that could be tested with, and it's something that could bring value both to DOCA as a partner, but also to James, I think, his organization in terms of revitalizing, economically the city, is thinking about how in downtown there are a number of on Main Street, a number of area buildings that are currently on the ground floor and not rented out and are kind of basically there, And, if we want to do something like that, where we want to have extra space to hang and sell art, maybe that it could be a very interesting way to talk with DOCA and James' organization to find a way to work with these owners so that for the 1 or 2 days of the event, part of these shop fronts are kind of equipped with art, right? And there could be some interesting way to create those opportunities, both for this, but also for the future, because those buildings right now, they're historic and they look almost abandoned and they look terrible, right? And so all the tourists that come, they're like, oh, what is this? It just looks like abandoned building. But actually, if we find a way, like they do in downtown Portland and in other area, to utilize this,
So you talking about pop-ups? Temporary pop-ups?
Revitalize it, and we need to find the kind of legal kinks because it might not be as simple as he said, but it could be an interesting way of looking at revitalization of that part of the city while they rent out or sell this building, basically.
I did a pop-up show one time at a bank that was in Tiger or something. Yeah, they want to keep it activated. They want to keep people in it, so it's not difficult.
No.
Unless it's ugly.
Well, yeah.
Well, that was something that Portland did a lot when it had empty, just like after the crash, unsold, unrented things, and just like put art, and you would never know that it looked alive.
Yeah.
You know. So.
One other main objective that I would like to see us focus on more next few years is arts education, right? So that goes to like the artist talks. I think it goes to working with the school board on, is there ways we can encourage art? Maybe it's even just giving kids opportunities like the contest to submit, giving categories to high school students or elementary students to submit art and feel like they, are learning about it too. So I think that's one I would really like to throw out there and see
Yeah, right.
what we could do there.
And they really want it, they really want to have that in schools a lot.
And under that, I would throw the community center.
Oh, yeah.
Because I envision that would be a big part of it is a place where people can go and see and express themselves, right?
Yeah.
That's what I envision a good community center would leave us with.
The thing with the community center, when Trias was on there, she toured the church that I have my studio out of. They have a lot of unused space. They want community to use it. And we even talked about that. And then I think you were talking about I know what it takes to start a community run art space. If we wanted to start using that space, and find people who would volunteer to run it and things like that, I think that could be a really easy start to using a physical space and calling it a community center. People would see that we're offering lessons, we're offering space, we're offering performances there, and that could segue into fundraising for an actual, whether we want to renovate a school building or want to build a building.
Well, I think a lot of people misunderstand with the idea of an initial product or service doesn't have to be 100% perfect ideal right off the bat.
Yeah.
Start small and build your way up, and it snowballs, right? And so I totally am on board with that. We don't have to have a 10,000 or 30,000 square foot building that has all roof stuff. It can start very small and work its way up to something more, right?
Yeah,
And
and
build
when
value.
Choir suggested this 2 or 3 meetings ago, and we had an entire I thought was a very useful discussion in the sense that we all came to that conclusion that, hey, we don't have to go with a big thing right away. We can start tiny and, prove the concept and also learn by doing, because, learn by doing those things. And then you build up the capacity to do something grand and, and then you can run later on. You can walk at the beginning. You don't have to run right away. It would be awesome.
So I'm just hearing.
Father John, I guess, would you be willing to hang arts in the past?
I mean, we hang Marv's photographs in the sanctuary.
Yeah. Hey.
Good old Marv, with the grizzly bears and the foxes.
So, we talked about, putting together a directory list, spotlighting, highlighting our local artists, doing more event participation kinds of things, also having permanent installation at the time, both of those things happening over a 5-year period of time. Arts education is another priority that I heard.
Can I add one more thing to list? I think it's similar to the qualified vendor. If we had a list of and built relationships with venues, places that are willing to host performances.
I think we need to look at who do we need to build relationships with in general.
Yeah,
Venues,
that's true.
Yes.
Arts organizations,
other city departments.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, I think, just elbow rubbing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She goes to party.
I think so too.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
So I think Josh's item that I don't think got included, establish a strategy document.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of under the administration financial protocols.
I think-
Up there.
See, those to me seems to be projects, not necessarily all of them priorities. They're those are projects and things that drive a priority, but priorities are something a bit more abstract and less
So
Project based.
we're almost at time. What I was gonna suggest is, I have that initial outline that I think it was Jen and I worked on of the, strategy document. What I'd like to do is take that and words and put together some proposed, high level, initiative. And come back to, the group and get everyone to sign off on, these are what we, 3 to 5 years, these are the initiatives we want to try to address. And then once we're agreed on that, we can go back and start breaking down, here's the goals underneath each one that we're gonna hit. And we don't wanna, you gotta balance overdoing it and underdoing it, but I think we can, if we get good at it and start knocking off goals, we can always add more, right? That's never
So you're gonna put together that initial draft? You want me
Yeah,
to-
I have an initial draft that we started way back when, and it had like all the content except this part, right? So I think we just need to start adding in the initiatives and the priorities.
And I can help you with that.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with everybody here, and I think we're doing phenomenal.
Yes.
I also will say, I like looking at all of you.
It's nice.
Whoever said it, someone said, I can't remember who said, we can't look at each other.
I mean, is there anything that you have?
No, I'm just listening to you guys wrap up. So, I agree. I think that's our priority.
Yeah, I think priorities.
Yeah, I think that's a smart plan. And it's gonna give us some direction. Is something that I think we need.
In light of that, I suggest we hold off on the work group discussion until we have our initiatives figured out, and then we start working out the goals, and then we can start thinking about what kind of work groups we're gonna need.
Well, I think we already, we kind of have volunteers to get us going.
Yeah, but those are more like.
No, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, we have.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, we have the work groups for the short term,
Yeah.
spend the money, and then, we're gonna.
I understand.
Longer term work groups that are allowed to focus on more initiatives.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
But people know who they are for those smaller groups that will put something together for the March meeting. Wonderful.
Well, thank you everyone for taking a second night of your February month to do this. It was really productive, I think. And so, looking forward to getting rolling.
Mandy, hit me up when you're back in town, yo. So we can go.
I already emailed you.
Nice. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you did it.
Holy.
Oh my God, that was such a long day. I don't have a question, I don't know.